Black Star, together with his allies, sets out to save the planet Sagar.
History of Black Star, 1981, cartoon explored. The animated science fantasy series Black Star graced the screens in 1981. It was produced by Filmation, a studio that had previously worked on another fantasy epic called The Freedom Force. Norm Prescott and Lou Scheimer were at the helm of its production. The series takes heavy inspiration from the iconic cartoon series Thundarr the Barbarian. It ran for 13 episodes, after which it was discontinued and replaced by He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, a show that went on to become a lot more popular than Black Star. In the story of Black Star, John Blackstar found himself stranded on a new planet called Sagar, which was overrun by the evil villain, the Overlord. He made many friends on the way and decided to go against the cruel Overlord. In this video, we will go over the lore that surrounds planet Sagar and its natives, John Blackstar's origin, and his adventures on the alien planet. Before we go on into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Lighting into dawn?
It does, Neptune, but for you, not me.
What's the Black Star animated science fantasy series all about? The protagonist of Black Star, John Blackstar, is originally an astronaut. The Earth he comes from is alluded to be a very technologically advanced one, as we can judge from Black Star's photon-based ship that uses to travel across dimensions. One day he gets swept through a black hole and finds himself trapped in the new world of planet Sagar. Soon he is rescued by a tiny race of pinkish, magenta-colored beings called the Trobits, who are native to the planet. They protect their home, the Sagar tree, which is where all the white magic of the planet stems from. Originally, the Trobits were supposed to be known as Trollkins, and they were meant to be blue in color. However, on one hand, the blue Smurfs were already popular, and on the other hand, Hanna-Barbera had a show called The Trollkins, so Filmation had to give up on making blue Trollkins and change the concept to the magenta-pink Trobits of planet Sagar. All's not well on this alien planet, though. The Trobit people were being oppressed by the villain of the story, the cruel Overlord. Black Star decides to help them in their fight for freedom against the villain. The Overlord rules over Sagar with the might of the Power Star. However, the Power Star is split into the Star Sword and the Power Sword.
No, Black Star, on yours!
It is only in the 6th episode, Space Wrecked, where we get to see the two legendary swords unite into the Power Star. Black Star finds himself to be the wielder of the Star Sword, and it gives him a wide range of abilities. He also allies with an enchantress named Mara the Dragon Warlock, a Cone who is an elvish shapeshifter, and of course the Trobits. Meanwhile, the Power Sword is wielded by the Overlord. Filmation Studios later decided to reuse this concept for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They intended to split the Sword of Grayskull into two to make He-Man possess one half and Skeletor possess the other. However, the idea was dropped, but Black Star's influence was still felt with reference to the plot, especially with He-Man powering up with his magical sword, the engaging action sequences, and a semi-clad man at the forefront of the story. Thundarr the Barbarian has a premise similar to Black Star, even though it is set on a post-apocalyptic wasteland of an Earth. Unlike Black Star, both heroes, sword-wielding protagonists, and friends going against the bad guys formula. In fact, the popularity of Thundarr the Barbarian acted as a catalyst for the conception of Black Star. Screenwriter and artist Robert Lamb was one of the many people who worked on the action-adventure story of Black Star, and he has shared a great deal about its behind-the-scenes moments. Even though he was not an active participant in the story's creation, he often touched over some of the storyboard scenes. He also revealed the heavy presence of sci-fi culture throughout his work environment. Filmation has previously produced live-action shows such as Space Academy and Jason of Star Command, so science fiction is home for this company. The sets of these shows still stood at the place where the assistant animation department worked from. There were Star Trek props on set as well. Lamb worked on some of the scenes of Black Star's last episode, The Zombies Master. The Zombies Master was designed to represent a fusion between the minor Star Wars antagonist Jabba the Hutt and the British actor who inspired the character, Sidney Greenstreet. And interestingly, it was after 2 years that they got to see how Jabba the Hutt was modeled for Return of the Jedi. Edgar Rice Burroughs' novel John Carter of Mars and James Clavell's novel Shogun were other sci-fi stories that acted as inspirations for Black Star. Another notable inspiration was Princess Ariel, the sorceress from Thundar the Barbarian, who influenced Black Star's ally Mara, an enchantress with magical powers. This brings us to one of the most important parts of Black Star, the characters that play a central role in the story. Of course, many characters have appeared throughout the course of all 13 episodes, but let's go over the ones who have been more recurring in the show. At the forefront, we have our titular hero, John Blackstar, who is more than just his bronze. He is very intelligent and prefers to outwit his opponents instead of just relying on brute strength. Next, we have the Enchantress Mara, who is a few centuries old but definitely does not look her age. She is capable of telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, and magic blasts. She can also create illusions, project force fields, and levitate. There are also the Trobits, aka the Tree Hobbits, who are native to planet Sagar. Initially, only 3 Trobits were supposed to be present, but that idea was later dropped. The show decided to go with 7 Trobits instead, which was probably inspired by Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. Black Star is also on excellent terms with a winged creature called the Warlock. It is a dragon horse and often acts as Black Star's ride. The elf-like shapeshifter called Cone also assists Black Star in his adventures. One of the most important characters of the show is obviously Overlord. His plan is to rule over the entire planet with the might of the Power Star. As the wielder of the Power Sword, he is on the lookout for Star Sword, which makes him Black Star's primary enemy. He also has a right-hand man called Vizier, who excels at conjuring and controlling minds. To get a better overview of the story, it is best to go over some of its opening and closing episodes. In the first episode titled City of the Ancient Ones, Overlord awakens a sorceress known as Amber. She is hypnotized to make enemies out of Black Star and her once close friend Mara. Overlord's quest in this episode is to go to the City of the Ancient Ones, which is also known as Tamborian. This city is home to the Sanctum of Wisdom. He seeks to learn the secret powers wielded by the ancients from the secret scrolls that are stored in the Sanctum, and for this he needs Amber's help. Mara is aware of Amber's true, friendly nature and wishes to save her friend and stop the Overlord alongside Black Star. When the Trobits try to help by going against the enemy, they get captured inside a hypnotized Amber's power ring. In the end, Mara and Black Star fight a giant robot guardian, and Mara's conscience is restored. The Trobits are freed as well, and Overlord's plans are foiled. However, this episode gives rise to several burning questions. During one instance, Mara says, "I wonder if the planet will ever get back to the peacefulness of ancient times." Sagar comes off as a barbaric planet, which makes us think about how a planet with secret scrolls about secret powers at the Sanctum of Wisdom ended up as a barbaric place. And this is how the premise sets up the future episodes. The second episode is called The Search for the Star Sword. We have previously spoken about the whole thing with the swords wielded by Black Star and Overlord. This episode opens with a volcanic eruption that has a great impact on the planet, and from this eruption emerges new enemies. Overlord's minions, known as the Lavalocks, they are tasked with retrieving the Star Sword for Overlord, and this plan foils a picnic that Black Star is enjoying with Mara, Cone, and the Trobits. Overlord is revealed to be the power that rules over planet Sagar, and Black Star is the one who opposes him tooth and nail. The Lavalocks retrieve the Star Sword from the Trobits to help Overlord in uniting it with his power sword. However, these plans are once again foiled by Black Star and his allies. In the third episode, The Lord of Time, the Trobits are attacked by Overlord's other subordinate, the Time Lord. With BBC broadcasting Doctor Who since 1963, this could very well be a Doctor Who reference. The Sagar tree, which happens to be the home of the Trobits, is turned into an acorn by Cadrice, that is the Time Lord's time scepter that can age or de-age anything. Black Star's goal here is to prevent the Lord of Time from getting this acorn. As it is, the Trobits will be done for without the Sagar tree, so Black Star must act immediately. With these 3 episodes, we are completely exposed to everything that makes Planet Sagar the place it is. We learn about the main heroes, the villains, its decline as a planet, and finally, we get to know about the Sagar tree, which is the source of the planet's white magic. So, let's jump to the last 3 episodes to see how the story is brought to an end. The 11th episode, The Overlord's Big Spell, shows Overlord conjuring an ancient spell that drains all the magic away from the planet and concentrates them in his ice palace. This means that Mara, whose life force is sustained by magic, begins to vanish little by little. The Overlord also summons a devil called the Brillerand, but this demon is so evil that he cannot be controlled by Overlord himself. Powerless to deal with his unprecedented situation, Overlord is forced to join hands with Black Star to defeat Brillerand. He is pained to work alongside the Trobits, but their goals are momentarily compatible, and ultimately Brillerand is defeated and Mara is saved. In the penultimate episode, The Crown of the Sorceress, the beautiful Talina is attacked by a monstrous man named Thor. Black Star and Warlock arrive to help her, and ultimately she promises to become their ally if she is taken back home safely. However, things are never as they seem, and Talina is actually an evil witch who is the high priestess of the Demon Lands. She controls the powerful crown of Karn and has enslaved Thorg's people. Her goal now is to make Black Star her slave as well. Oh, did we mention how she is a minion of Overlord? Black Star is brainwashed by Talina. Meanwhile, his allies come to save him, and they too must go against Talina's demon fire. Mara returns Black Star to his original self, and Talina fights back with several of her summonings, but our heroes attain the final victory. The last episode, the Zombie Masters, bring the series to an end. Black Star and his allies come across the flying city of Maracon. This city is a city of zombies. Black Star and company were on their way to visit the royal family of Gandar to secure their help in their rebellion. However, Maracon lays waste on Gandar, and their evil wizard Shaldamar turns Gandar's princess and Mara into mindless zombies. Black Star makes a new ally out of the Prince of Gandar as they wish to save Mara the princess and all the slaves. Ultimately, Black Star's Star Sword is used to destroy the city of zombies, which is quite a brutal method for the hero of a children's cartoon to adopt. Unfortunately, episode 11 was the last time we got to see the Overlord, and it would have been cooler to have a conclusion with a primary antagonist present. What brings an animation to life apart from its imagery is often the performance of the voice actors. Black Star was voiced by George DiCenzo, who has previously appeared in movies such as the 1985 classic Back to the Future, the 1989 movie Sing, and the 1990 horror Exorcist 3. He has also voiced Ernest Kelly in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Linda Gary voiced Mara, and she also appeared in a movie called Cruising in 1980 alongside the legend that is Al Pacino. Alan Oppenheimer voiced the Overlord as well as the Carpenter Trobit called Carpo. He has also appeared in the Star Trek series. Finally, Cone was voiced by Patrick Pinney, who has voiced several characters throughout his career, such as Painty the Pirate from SpongeBob SquarePants' opening theme, and several characters from Robot Chicken.
John Blackstar, astronaut.
John Blackstar, an astronaut from Earth. Blackstar hails from a very technologically advanced futuristic Earth. Not much has alluded to it, but we can assume this from his photon-based ship and his girlfriend Katana's fusion drive time ship, since both ships are capable of traveling across dimensions. However, he does not bear any insignia or title that can help us determine Blackstar's affiliations on Earth. So, our exposure to him as a person and his ideals are purely dependent on his actions that take place on planet Sagar. On this planet, the Trobits tap into the magical force field behind the Sagar tree. In fact, the sorcerers of the planet often draw magical energy from a mysterious parallel plane. On the other hand, Black Star does not possess any magical capabilities, since he is not from this planet. However, that is not to say that he is not skilled. As an astronaut, it is obvious that he has undergone rigorous training in several fields and also happens to be quite intelligent. This is where Black Star strays away from the norm. Generally, the hero of an action-adventure story tends to be the muscular guy who is reckless and all bronze. Meanwhile, John is the type of person who would much rather outsmart his opponents than use physical force. Not that he is lacking in the latter department, since being in constant contact with his Star Sword amplifies his physical abilities to a huge extent. Throughout the course of the series, Black Star goes against the Overlord and in the process comes across several allies and enemies in various places throughout the mystical planet. He also fights for the freedom of the enslaved Trobits who had previously saved him. Black Star wields his legendary weapon, the indestructible Star Sword, which can absorb external energy, store it, and reflect it back to destroy its target. The aura generated by the weapon powers Black Star up to superhuman levels. He gains super strength, speed, agility, reflexes, and endurance, and becomes somewhat invulnerable to attacks or extreme temperatures. With the Overlord wielding the other shard of the Power Star, that is, the Power Sword, he is granted the same power amps as Black Star. In the 6th episode of the show Space Wrecked, we get an idea about John Blackstar's fate towards the end. His girlfriend from Earth, Lieutenant Katana, traces the photonic particle residue left by Blackstar's photon-based ship to locate him and finds herself in Sagar. However, having gotten entangled with the Overlord, she is forced to leave the planet without rescuing Black Star. She never reappears in any other episode, but towards the end of that particular episode, Katana asks one of her superiors for permission to organize an armed rescue mission to retrieve John Black Star. So that is probably how our hero will get to go back home. Black Star, the future of the franchise. The first episode of the Black Star animated series premiered on September 12, 1981. The show went on till December, but any ideas for a second season were scrapped. Following the major success of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Black Star was aired once again from 1983 to 1984. A sister line of Black Star action figures was launched in 1984. This line, known as the Infaceables, followed a design similar to what you find on the beings of Planet Sagar. Even though the show did not come up with more episodes despite its more than favorable ratings in the second run, its saga as a franchise was not over yet. In 2006, a DVD set for the series was put into circulation by BCI Eclipse LLC, and unlike the show that originally aired, the DVD version was remastered and restored with better audio and video quality. There was uncut footage alongside additional previously unseen scenes. UK's Boulevard Entertainment published their Black Star DVDs the very next year in 2007 with 3 PAL format DVDs which had 2 episodes each. But in the present day and present time, there's absolutely nothing that has taken place in this department. No one is talking about restarting the series, but that is fine. It is okay for stories to be short and not last for ages. Having been released in the 1980s, the popularity of Black Star has been sandwiched by other iconic cartoons such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, DuckTales, and Thundercats that have redefined Western animation and pop culture. During this time, the entire concept of a hero on an alien planet going on adventures with his powerful sword and magical friends had grown exceedingly popular. This is obviously evident from the premises of Black Star, Thundarr the Barbarian, and He-Man Masters of the Universe, and the market wasn't saturated at all. Nowadays, if a fad grows super popular, social media can make it extremely oversaturated. Like it's said, if you squeeze a lime too much, it gets bitter. However, we're talking about the 80s when social media was not a thing. You'd have to wait a whole day or a whole week for the next 20 minutes of your favorite cartoon, and to a huge extent, this helped in keeping up the novelty of certain concepts and shows. And with Black Star's popular premise and format, it fell into the much-awaited category instead of the, oh, there are about 100 similar shows on air category. Air whales, dragons, shapeshifters, sorcerers, and magic created the perfect mix for a perfect show. Combined with a semi-naked sword-wielding hero who weighs his brains over his bronze, Black Star melded into the popular trend that people wanted while simultaneously being able to stand out from the crowd. 2 birds, 1 stone. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
No one could have got gotten through the demon vial.
And I suppose no one can do